Pokemon Legends Arceus has quickly become one of my favorite Nintendo Switch games. I'm not sure if it's my number one, but it's definitely in my top 5. This game was released in North America on January 28th, 2022, and since then I have put just under 50 hours into this game. I have completed the main storyline, but luckily there's a ton of post-game content to explore, so I still have many hours to put into it. I could easily see myself clocking in at least 100 hours with this game, which I haven't even come close to with another Nintendo Switch game aside from Animal Crossing and Breath of the Wild. This will obviously be a must-play title for any Pokemon fan, but my hope with this review is to convince others to give this game a shot, as I really think as many people as possible should play it. I went into this game mostly blind. I knew that it was more of an open world than other Pokemon games, and I had seen some screenshots of gameplay, but I didn't do a lot of research before starting the game, which is usually how I prefer to do it. I was surprised to find out that the era this game is set in is way in the past, especially when compared to other Pokemon games. This game shows the initial creation of the Pokeball, and humans and Pokemon slowly starting to work together instead of being afraid of one another. One of the roles you play in this game is to bring the two together, to show that Pokemon are not creatures to be afraid of, but rather companions to aid in the progress of civilization. There are no skyscrapers, casinos, bicycles, or any other sort of modern creation or technology in this game, which to me was refreshing, as most mainline Pokemon games usually have the same type of feel. This one is completely different and in a very good way. You begin the game with what I felt was a very long amalgamation of tutorials and cutscenes. It felt like even after an hour I was still in the hand-holding phase of the game, but luckily once you get through that, it really opens up and lets you do just about whatever you want in whatever order you want. Certain areas of the game are only unlocked by completing mainline quests, of course, but there is a very natural progression to the game that doesn't make you feel as if you are forced to focus on a certain thing at a time. Once you get through the first couple hours of the game, the amount of cutscenes is drastically reduced, which I appreciate, as usually I'm not big on story in the games I play, but if you are, there is still a good narration here which not only tells the history of Pokemon, but the entire world it's set in. As a member of a guild dedicated to helping and protecting the people of its village, you are tasked with various missions ranging from investigating strange Pokemon sightings, to gathering materials to craft food or other useful items. There are many side quests in this game, but the main storyline has you quelling the frenzied Pokemon in each area, which started acting erratic following a lightning strike from a rip in the sky. These are essentially boss battles where the goal is to deplete the opponent's frenzied meter with a combination of throwing food bombs and battling them with your own Pokemon. These are referred to as Lord Pokemon in the game, and they are the only ones not able to be captured. It is possible to add these Pokemon to your Pokédex, but you must evolve to them rather than catch them. There are also Hisuian versions of some Pokemon in the game, similar to the Alolan versions of Pokemon in Sun and Moon. These Pokemon have a different look to them when compared to the same Pokemon from previous games. As the story progresses, you learn about the formation of the different tribes of people that live in the Hisui region, and the Pokemon gods that they worship. It seems that most of the people in the game just want to live a normal life and learn about Pokemon, but the giant hole in the sky is an ever-present concern that seems to have everyone scared to progress. There are plenty of small victories throughout the game that keep everyone hopeful for the future, and it never seems as if everything is doom and gloom. The game is careful to not make itself seem bleak or depressing. In fact, because the environments are so beautiful and fun to explore, it feels like life in that land would be nothing less than paradise. There are lots of things to collect and search for in the game, so even if you aren't currently working on the storyline, you still have a plethora of things to do. This might be a minor spoiler, although it isn't related to the story of the game at all, but I wanted to use it to illustrate how creative the developers were with this game. If you are unfamiliar, there is a Pokemon simply called Unknown. It is a unique Pokemon that has one large round eye, and its body is like a sleek black tube. Every Unknown is in the shape of a letter or a punctuation symbol. There are 28 of them to catch in this game, and they are very well hidden throughout the land. This is only one mini side mission you can complete, but it gives an example of the type of long-running achievements this game has to offer. There are plenty of other things to collect throughout the game similar to this, so you will always be searching the highest mountain peaks, the lowest crevices, or the darkest corners to find secrets. This is one way the game is able to continue past the main story, and similar to the Korok seeds or shrines in Zelda Breath of the Wild, there are tons of things hidden everywhere. Completing the Pokédex is always the end goal of any Pokémon game, although it's not a requirement to beat the game. It typically unlocks something special to do or experience. It's a very difficult task to accomplish, and I am not at that point in my playthrough yet, but I do plan to continue on, and hopefully I'll catch every Pokémon available in the game. There are a few things you can't get in the game without having a Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl save file on your Nintendo Switch. So while you won't be blocked from doing something without that save file, it does unlock something extra, which I won't spoil here. While this game is open world, there's a very clear path to follow if you choose to do so. It would be difficult to get stuck or lost at any point, but it also isn't in your face about continuing the story. There's a very good balance here, so however you choose to play the game, it won't confuse you or get in your way at all. To be clear, I think this is a fantastic game, probably the best Pokemon game ever released. However, it does have its flaws. One of my biggest gripes with Pokemon Legends Arceus is that the world can feel a bit empty at times. Since it's set far in the past, you don't get cities and buildings all over the land. Communities are restricted to the village areas, and it's rare to see any sort of house outside of them. Most of what you will be seeing on your adventure into the wild are trees, grass, rocks, and water. I know the Pokemon roaming around is the main focus, and if things were too dense, it might be difficult to navigate and locate Pokemon, but there could have been some more variety, at least in the types of trees you see, for example. There are maybe 4 to 5 different trees in this game, and they all appear to be the same exact size. Some types of trees are larger than others, but there's no height deviation with the same asset. It would have been nice to have the world a little more fleshed out in terms of objects occupying the vast open landscape. Because things are so open, it does make it easy to find points of interest or little secrets, which there are plenty of, but I don't think it would have taken away from the progression of the game at all to have the areas a bit more polished. I am definitely biased towards the original 151 Pokemon, since I was at the perfect age for it when Red and Blue were released on the original Game Boy, but I still feel comfortable saying that the range of Pokemon available in this game is fairly limited. A lot of the different areas have repeating Pokemon, which is fine, but sometimes it feels a little careless. There are lots of prominent Pokemon in the game, such as Pikachu, Eevee, Lucario, and others, but there are many essentials missing here. I won't go into details to avoid spoilers, but I will say some of the newer Pokemon that they chose to include are uninspired, and there were much better options available to pick from. Another small issue I have with the game is the way the developers put boundaries around the levels. It is very easy to come to a point on the map where everything turns very foggy, and you get a text pop-up saying you cannot go any further. There are abilities in the game that allow you to navigate the land in such a way that it would be difficult to prevent you from getting to the boundaries, but they could have added in something to stop you instead of an invisible wall. I'm not a fan of that type of constriction, and it seems lazy in a way. You want the world to feel very open and expansive, and a text pop-up really kills any immersion you might be feeling when you reach a boundary. Despite my complaints, the game is incredible. My criticisms are minor and only caused me minimal frustration. The good far outweighs the bad with this game. Opinions on graphics are very subjective, and I have heard a lot of grief from Pokemon fans on the internet, but personally, I think it looks great. This game moves much closer to realism than any other Pokemon game, but I don't want hyper lifelike visuals. I like the fantasy element of Pokemon, and I think the graphics do a good job of staying in that lane. The lack of voice acting could be disappointing to some players, but it would have to be done very well to work, and I don't mind coming up with my own voices for the characters in my head. I honestly can't recommend this game enough. If you own a Nintendo Switch, it's a no-brainer, but I might even go as far to say that it's worth buying a console just to play this game. It feels most similar to Zelda Breath of the Wild. Graphics are comparable, they are both open world, although Zelda more so, and even the controls and sound effects are alike. If you enjoyed Breath of the Wild, you will love this game as well. I've heard people say it's like a Pokemon shooter, which is a funny comparison, but I don't think it feels like that at all when playing. It's a third-person action-adventure RPG with light crafting elements very much like Zelda. You don't have to play any other Pokemon games to understand what's going on in Arceus, but a familiarity with Pokemon will of course help. This would be a good introduction into the expansive world of Pokemon for anyone. It's easy to pick up and play once you get through the tutorial section, and there are countless hours of content to explore far beyond completion of the storyline. I hope you will take my recommendation and play Pokemon Legends Arceus. If the game does well enough for Nintendo, I can only hope that they do more games in this style, as I would love to see a sequel down the road. Thank you for listening, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. If you've played Pokemon Legends Arceus, please let me know in the comments what you think of the game. If you haven't played it, let me know if you plan to and if my review helped in any way to make that decision.